It's a great day here at Will to Win's YouTube channel. I am Kekfile, aka Sage, a moderator of sorts. Today, I have with me the normal host, William Craddock. How you doing today, Will?
You're about to become the normal host. I'm just gonna be the co-host from here on
You're just
out.
gonna be the co-host. I love it. So with that, we actually doing a little bit of a Knoxville recap. First of all, I want to say congratulations to Will. He got
Thank you.
second place out of, was it 512? Did they, or was it a bigger cap?
No, it was bigger. It was like 642, 648, something like that.
Was it initially supposed to be 1,000 or?
I wasn't sure. I thought it was supposed to be capped at 512, but maybe it
Yeah,
was 1,000.
I thought so too. They just let more people in, and because they
Maybe.
had pricing, which is so strange. And I do want to say PPG ran an interesting event. I know there was a little drama beforehand about it being OPO4 and an OPO, and then it was OPO3, and then back to OPO4. We had a whole video ready for that, which we didn't end up doing. But
My
um,
deck was the same either way, so it
yeah,
didn't affect me, right?
that was super funny. I'm sure it affected like what you were planning to see there, especially
Yeah,
for
well,
side
I just,
events. But I want to definitely go into your run, what happened, any fun, interesting stories, and I mean we have your deck list here. It's public information regardless.
yeah, if
I
you like.
know one thing. It's on the side here. There's 4 guard points that are on the side here. I'll make sure to edit those in so they'll be able
I,
to see those.
I can see the guard points.
Yeah,
Can you not
I
see the
know you
guard
can
points?
see them. Our viewers can't because the way it's set
Okay,
up with this. So
okay.
I'll make
So,
sure those
sorry.
guard points are seeable on here. But without further ado, I first wanted to ask about getting to the trip, the start of the trip. How did you get to Knoxville?
We rented a nice large minivan. There's only four of us, but we want a lot of room because it is a 12-hour drive for us, and we just got our asses up at 8 in the morning and drove straight to Knoxville.
That was
And
on like Thursday, right?
it was on Thursday, so I think we ended up arriving in Knoxville at around 2 a.m. And there was just this there was some incidents. All right, you know what? I'm gonna go into it. I'm gonna talk about it because I don't think this should happen. Um, and y'all can let me know if you had similar experiences to this. So we're about an hour away from our hotel, and I get a fraud alert on my phone, and it says the hotel is trying to charge the full amount of the reservation, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not paying that because I've never heard of a hotel trying to charge you
Mm-hmm.
before you even check in the full amount of the reservation. I know on hotels.com or something if you can prepay, but that's not what I did, right? I just put a credit card for the reservation. And they actually end up calling me saying like, "Hey, give us your credit card." And I'm like, "I'm driving. I'm an hour away. What are you doing?" I told them I'm going to go stay somewhere else. Luckily, they ended up just saying like, "Okay, okay, okay. We'll wait for you." But then when we got to the hotel, it was a disaster. Absolute disaster. We had booked a suite, so it's 2 rooms,
Mm-hmm.
or it's 2 queens and another room with a couch bed, right? They give us our keys. We go upstairs. We start trying to unlock the door. We hear a dog bark behind the door.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a dog barking behind the door, and we're like, okay, let's try this again. We go downstairs, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that room's occupied. Here's this key. Go to this room. And I shit you not. The key works. So we're like, all right, cool. We open the door. There's people inside the room watching TV. Dead ass people just sitting there watching TV. And we just walk in and we're like, uh, hello.
Is this like a chain hotel?
This is a La Quinta Inn.
Okay.
This is like a 4.5 star rated La Quinta Inn in Knoxville. This is not just like some random hotel, right? And we're just like, what is happening? Like, what are you doing?
I didn't know that. That's crazy. So
Yeah,
keep
like
going.
I
Keep
and
going.
and finally we go back downstairs and they tell us like, oh, the suite reserved, we don't have any. And thankfully, well, I told him like just give us 2 rooms, right? And he said, okay, but you're gonna have to pay for it. And I said, I'm gonna pay for it, but the manager is gonna take it off the next day. And that guy's like, well, I can't authorize that. I'm like, well, I'm going to pay for it and I'll talk to the manager the next day. So that's what
Mhm.
we did. And thankfully, the manager did give us, he didn't make us pay for the extra room. He knocked it down to the original. They ended up actually having the suite. Just the guy working there didn't know what he was doing. Our room
Uh,
was always available. He just didn't know. And it was just kind of a disaster, but it all worked out in the end, right? Like,
okay. Yeah, that sounds like a real hotel disaster. Hopefully, our hotel disasters aren't end up like that, and we go to Texas. Okay,
yeah, I don't know.
in
I actually saw
November.
that dog the next morning. It was a German Shepherd wearing a diaper. Extremely.
Such a random intro story, and then okay, did you guys do anything like that night? The next morning, I know they had side events on Friday, right?
Yeah, the next morning we end up we got into the 3v3, and we ended up actually losing round one. Like uh
Mm-hmm.
it was not pretty. We actually got smushed.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, you know what? We're gonna play $12 winning boxes all day. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what we ended up doing. We DD won 2 boxes over the weekend. I think Ty won 2 boxes over the weekend, and I played in 2 of them and I won one of them.
Yeah, is it just 8 man? 8 man
It's eight
events.
man.
That's pretty good. That's fucking. That's actually just good value. For
Yeah,
winning
it is
boxes.
super good value.
Yeah, because in Pasadena they were doing 16 man, $15. They were getting a little greedy, to be honest.
16 man, $15 win a box.
Yeah, that was a little greedy. Yeah, so I think that's just too. They're just overpaying for boxes. That they didn't have any other option for us. So
Yeah, I mean $12, 8 man, you have to win. I guess second place got a dash pack, but
yeah, well, and this like second place gets nothing for ours, and so basically, when you think about it, 16 people just pay $15 for one person to get a box, which you know, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. If it's 8 people pay $15, yeah, they're pushing it. I think they gave sleeves too. That's the Nami sleeves. But
that's
even
still
if
like what,
but
$240
even if
for a
it's
box.
$10 per person, right?
Yeah,
That is $160 for a box, which
for a box, which they got at like $69 because they obviously
yeah,
get. Yeah.
exactly. And it ends up taking an extra round, which just sucks for them. So it's it's profit. Why not, right? So
Oh, while we're on the subject of boxes, I would like to announce the winner of our first giveaway.
oh,
Uh, we are giving away 2 boxes this month.
okay.
I do have one on hand, and the winner of our first box is someone who's been with us actually for a while. I think he's tier 4 now. I think he's one of our like first like 10 patrons or something like that. And that is Pudding Brains.
Pudding brains. All right.
Pudding Brains.
We'll make sure to message you in the Discord about that. I'll make sure to make a note of that right now. Pudding brains. Got
And
it.
our second winner, I'm not saying he's getting a box. I believe this individual is in Europe, so I'm gonna
Mm.
talk to him a little later. So I'll send him a message. But if you're in Europe, you're one of our lucky second winners. I'm gonna let you know who you are.
You don't know who it is yet?
I know who it is, but I don't know if they're getting a box or not because I think
Okay.
they're in
Can we
Europe.
at least
So
announce who it is, or is it we'll just keep that a secret?
uh, I can try to announce their name.
Do you know what
Uh,
their Discord name was?
yeah, it's Ray Cusa. Ray Cusa.
Rikuza?
I think it's how you say it, Raykuza.
All right, Rikuza.
It sounds like a Pokemon.
We'll definitely message you.
Yeah.
Got it. Great. I'm glad we followed up on these winner boxes, and I'll make sure this is its own section in here as well. So that's
I'm pretty sure Raykuza actually got in like last week too. So you're lucky.
okay. I mean, now we have over 200 patrons, which is pretty huge. And I maybe skipped over this. As far as this goes, we're not going to go over the deck really. We're just kind of showing the deck list here. But
Yeah.
just know to you people that there is a full guide on Whitebeard, Rebecca, and now Croc on the Patreon.
It's this Whitebeard, right? Is it specifically or this one? I think we did Strawbeards.
Yeah, specifically Strawbeard, but you had other inputs and matchups, right?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
it can be seen as a lot of value, and you obviously you got second place with it. It's probably the better Whitebeard deck if it got second place.
I don't know, man. I got a lot of messages this morning. People were like, "How do you beat regular Whitebeard?" And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I have 4 more events than them. I can
Hmm.
counter more, you know?
Hmm.
I
Exactly. So
like,
it's
are we gonna go over the matchups? You wanna go over the
yeah.
matchups?
Yeah, we'll go over that. So let's go over actually now the day of the event.
Yeah.
You think you had things written down? Go ahead, just one by one.
Yeah, okay. So my first 2 rounds, I play, you guessed it, Edward Newgate mirrors. Um,
Hmm.
and it was either the first one or second one. I get 'em a little backwards. I countered
Hmm.
out of attack for 20 and then 6 and then 8. And they're
Hmm.
just like, how did you do that? Well, I have 4 Firehawks in my deck. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Hmm.
So my first 2 rounds are Whitebeard matchups. There's nothing like super big to them. I won 1 dice roll, lost 1 dice roll.
Hmm.
So I went second once, went first once. I did not draw my Newgate in either matchups, and my opponent drew theirs in both. If that, you know, which generally is a pretty big mirror breaker, but I think this version of the deck is just so much counter power. It's fine against that. Round 3, it was interesting. I played against a Croc, a blue Croc, not a Laker Croc is what you called
Hmm.
it,
Yeah, Laker Croc.
and he won the dice roll and decided to go second against me. So to me, I think he was a good player, but he lacked a little bit of matchup knowledge. I think he was just like, well, Whitebeards typically want to go second, so why don't I go second, right? And I think that kind of lost it for him. That wasn't a particularly close match. I just played Rush Luffy into Ace and just kind of, did Whitebeard things. Round 4 was very interesting and unfortunate because I got paired against none other than the DD.
Hmm.
We're both undefeated going round 4, and she concedes to me so we can go get chicken nuggets.
Hmm.
So that was nice of her.
Hmm.
Friendly fire is an unfortunate happenstance of these tournaments, especially when you have
Hmm.
a really high level team and y'all are going to be undefeated for the first 4 or 5 rounds most of the
Hmm.
time.
With that
Uh,
too, I did want to ask. I know, you know, I wouldn't exactly call it collusion. Obviously, this is kind of early in the rounds. He's not gonna like lose to you on purpose. I'm sure you guys have played together multiple times.
yeah, like D's more than capable of crushing me. We just typically it's just not. We're not even gonna worry about like we're not gonna be like, well, if you concede to me, I'll give you this because yeah, we live together. Obviously, it's
Mhm.
just she's like,
Yeah.
this actually has precedence. When we played Magic, we played round 4 of a 1,500 man event,
Hmm.
and she conceded to me at that event, and I got second place at that event also.
Hmm. Sure, she
So
helps
it's
out with
actually kind of
tiebreakers
funny.
too, so that's pretty
Yeah,
big.
yeah, she will. Like Dee is very, she's part of the team, but she doesn't like to do the video. So she's like, okay, well,
Mhm.
you have to do the video if you do well, so I'm gonna concede to you.
Oh, okay, got it. So intimidated by that. Okay, great. And then the next match, so round 5. So you had chicken nuggets from. Did they have like?
Got you. They
They
had a
have.
lunch break.
They had a lunch break.
They had a lunch break. It was like 30 minutes. That was the other thing. The line to the concession stands was so huge. Like we're
Mhm.
like, well, if we just one of us concedes, we'll just go get food, right?
Yeah, that's pretty big. I think it might be worth if you brought a. Imagine if you brought a bunch of food for people, and they were just like, "Oh, thanks, bro."
Yes.
Maybe for Texas, we'll get Chick-fil-A catered. Okay. Um,
100%.
the
Yeah,
will
I'm
to
down.
win Chick-fil-A special.
I'm super down.
Okay. See you guys in
Round 5.
Texas.
Round 5. Playing Grape Dofi.
Okay.
Very close game. He chose to go second. I lost the die roll. Our game was super close, and it basically came down to he played a Nami and had to hit a 2K off the search to survive.
Mhm.
The turn before, I played a Rush Luffy. He's on 0 life. I'm gonna attack him for 16. Right? Like I didn't attack with it, so he can't kill it. And I mean, it was a good play by him. He deduced he couldn't kill me, and he couldn't. I had like 23K out of hand, so it didn't matter what he had in play.
Mhm.
And then yeah, it just came down to does he find a 2K with Nami off the top of his deck, and he did, and he ended up winning that match. So that was my first loss of the event.
It's Grape Dofi. Okay, round
It's
5,
great
first
Murphy.
loss. Okay, stick round
Uh,
6.
Round 6 and 7, I have 2 more Whitebeard mirrors, so this is 5 up to that point if you count DD. I win both dice rolls. I go second. It's pretty clinical. I actually think both games ended with me just playing a Rush Luffy and passing, and then they had to play so defensively because the threat of 16 was there. They just couldn't stabilize. Like I just kind of I curved normal like Luffy Thatch, and then rush Luffy sit on it. It was just pretty clinical. There was nothing really special about those matchups in my mind.
Okay, got it. So you got those 2 wins. So at this point, you're 5-1, or that's 6-1. 6-1.
6-1.
Going to round 8.
Round 8, I get to play my first Katakuri.
Mm-hmm.
My opponent was like he's not not heartbroken. He saw Whitebeard and he's like, I don't want to play against Whitebeard. This is very unfortunate for my opponent. So he mulligans. He chooses to go second. He wins the dice roll. We both mulligan. My hand's pretty decent. I have Luffy into ace. So like I have the go first curve, right? Nothing super fancy. But he just dies. Like my opponent literally just dies. I actually end up going attack for 9, and then turn 5, I attack for 7 and play a Frankie. And the next turn I go attack for 7, Luffy attack. And my opponent just dies. Like literally. He's dead before he hits 10 Dawn. And I'm just kind of like, hey, what's in your hand? What happened? And he shows me his hand. He's like, my opener was Thunderbolt, Big Mom, like Charlotte Katakuri.
So no counter in hand actually opening hand.
Counter. I was like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I know it's a bad matchup for you, but you also just got super unlucky.
You probably watched your video and everything too, and just kidding.
I was like, I felt bad, like, because he had no shot. Like, he had a really bad hand in a bad matchup, and sometimes there's nothing you can do, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I felt really really bad for him.
Okay. So right at this point, did you know if it was going to be 10 rounds or not, or was it going to be 9?
So at this point, there's 3 undefeated, so it could be 9, it could be 10.
Okay, got it. So you're going to round 9.
Going to round 9. I'm playing against Law and Josh Graham, Impact. He just took his first loss, so he was actually 7-0 up to this point. He's paired against the undefeated Katakuri. So if he wins on Newgate, there's only 9 rounds, right? So we're basically like, it's going to be 9 rounds. Impact's a good player. It's a bad matchup for Katakuri. And I'm paired against Law, so I'm like, this is perfect because I'm very well versed in this matchup. My Law opponent just kind of he has a decent draw, but it's not like the nut Law draw, right? He wins a die roll, he goes second. I have Marco, which is just kind of slows him down to the point where he can't really do anything. And I just kind of like hit him for 7K till it dies. And then Impact ends up winning, and lo and behold, we're in the top cut for the next day.
Did he get into top cut, or did he miss top cut?
He got top. So he was X1. We were both X1 going into the top cut.
I didn't know he was in top cut for some reason.
Yeah, he was the second seed going into the day 2.
Oh. I feel like there was like less of a hype around that. He's one of our coaches, so I'm kind of like, maybe he just didn't tweet it or something. I don't know. So
here's the reason. So we get into day 2. We're both playing mirrors. I have a Whitebeard mirror. He has a Whitebeard mirror.
Okay.
He ends up losing his Whitebeard mirror.
Okay.
So he's out at top 32. Which, if y'all have been there, it's a bummer, right? Like if this tournament was just that's it. It's top 8 gets paid. He would have had a serial Luffy. Right. But the fact they cut to a top 32 and he lost.
Yeah.
The interesting thing though was day 2 was best of 3.
Did you know as well that there was going to be a top cut before? I didn't know that.
Yes, we knew there was gonna be a top cut. I thought it was top 16. I didn't know it was top 32.
Okay.
That was the X factor.
Is that best of 1 on the 32? And
no, it was best of 3 all of day 2.
All the way through. Okay.
Yeah,
so real quick, you go to bed knowing you're top 32. You probably have the whole bracket out. Oh, I'm playing this. It's open deck lists. If I win this, I'm probably facing this. If I win that, I'm probably facing that.
Yeah.
Are you theorizing that the whole time? Or are you trying to relax?
I look at my top 32 opponent. I don't look at the bracket after that. But my top 32 opponent was definitely my most interesting match of the day. So he's the one I kind of like stressed about the most. Other than that, like I knew my bracket was going to be fairly clear because there's a lot of Katakuris and Laws.
Okay. In your side of the bracket as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know your whole side of the bracket avoided like all the queens and and Black Luffy.
Well, the queen, yeah, the queen had to fight the number 1 seed Rebecca, which
Mm-hmm.
was so unfortunate for the Rebecca because imagine being undefeated day 1 and you just
Mm-hmm.
come in and they're playing what I consider a really bad matchup for you, and
Mm-hmm.
you just lose, right? Like,
Okay. Got it. That's interesting. Okay. Now we'll go into that day 2. So you faced round 1 of day 2, top 32,
Whitebeard,
your Whitebeard
Whitebeard
matchup.
mirror.
Tell me about that.
So his deck was very interesting because he is running 3 Gordons in his Whitebeard deck.
What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. And I chose it's Whitebeard mirror, so like I'm going second. And I knew this was a possibility. I didn't think about it. I knew he could do this, even though you can't search Gordon. So what happened was he goes to his 3 Dawn turn, he attacks for 8 and plays a Gordon. And I'm like, well, swing for 6, play a Frankie. On his turn, he's like, activate Gordon on your Frankie, play a Marco to kill it. And I'm like, whoa, like that's actually
Mm-hmm.
really bad for me, right? Um,
Yeah.
it's just really good for it's like a really good mirror attack, right? Like because
Yeah.
that's just like full on tempo if you're going first.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up clinching game 1 because I just followed up with Thatch,
Mm-hmm.
and like that was kind of all she wrote. He had a lot of counter in hand, but Thatch just demolished
Broke.
everything. Yeah, it just ate everything in his hand. Um, I actually ended up playing a new game on 0 life in game 1 because I had like a rad beam and like 7 2Ks in hand or
Mm-hmm.
something. So it didn't matter. Like game 1 was pretty clinical. Game
Okay.
2, he of course puts me going first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm there's not much to it. I kind of play Luffy as an ace, and he plays his 4 drops and Thatch curve. We did have a very interesting spot at the end of game 2 where he played Newgate and I chose to swing 8 at a Marco instead of swinging 10 at his face to try to get cards out. And I honestly think it ended up costing me the game. I do think I made a slight mistake in game 2. I think I could have kept it at
Mm-hmm.
2 games, but he ends up winning
Mm-hmm.
because I think I made that mistake. And then game 3, again, just he does the same thing. He has the Gordon Marco draw. I'm like, oh my god, like, why stop drawing these Gordons, right? You can't search them. Stop drawing them.
Mm-hmm.
So he Gordon's my 4 Dawn play. But in game 3, I just end up playing a Thatch into an
Mm-hmm.
ace to clear his board, and then he kind of turtles up on
Mm-hmm.
his turn, and I'm just like Luffy go, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
just looks at his hand and he tries to attack me all out, but it's not even close. I think I survived like 10k out of hand. But he
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't survive the Luffy attack because his deck was so light on counter. He only had I think he only had 5 events
Yeah.
and he had the Gordons,
Mm-hmm.
like
Especially
super
play the
light.
Gordons. Yeah, the Gordons is a it's a whoopsie doozy.
But honestly, that's what won me most of my matchups. Like those Firehawks are just like I have these extra 2Ks in my hand. I'm so defensive. So all I
Mm-hmm.
do is hit you for 7 for the first 5 turns. All of a sudden I say go with 6 Dawn up and you cannot kill me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it's just impossible for you to kill me.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so great. So that's locked down. I think you texted me your top 16. Actually, you texted me you were top 8, I think. But
No,
go into your
yeah, I think
top
it's
16.
so top 16, I'm playing against a Katakuri.
Okay.
The matchup I'm like this is why I played Newgate. I want to hit all the Katakuris.
Mm-hmm.
He is this person I think he tells me like he's kind of new.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, this is my first event, and I also told him like, look, I'm not a salty player. If you win your first Luffy here, I'm gonna feel good about that. Like even if it means me losing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, luckily I have a lot, just thousands of hours experience against Katakuri with Whitebeard,
Mm-hmm.
and I execute the same plan. In most of my matchups, he was the higher seed, so he puts me going first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like attack for 9, play a 4 drop on my 5 Dawn turn, attack for 7. On my 7 Dawn turn, I attack for 7, attack for 7, play another
Mm-hmm.
rush Luffy. Like it's just pretty clinical at that
Mm-hmm.
point. The only real interesting spot we had was he played the matchup kind of like old Whitebeard matchup before they were playing choppers, where he was just making huge swings every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was just like 8 hits your life, 10 hits your life.
Mm-hmm.
And in game 2 is actually working for him. And if I do think he misstepped here, I had 6 cards and he had 6 attackers, so he could just go 6 6 6 6 6, just kind of spread
Mm-hmm.
it out. But he ends up trying to make a big attack that I radical beam out of instead of him just swinging with his Charlotte Pudding for 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of cost him the game. So I do think it might have been a combination of nerves or just it's not a common thing to swing for 6 with your Charlotte Pudding. It's a Whitebeard.
Yeah.
But
Did you have one brick in your hand with 6 cards?
yeah, I had 1 brick.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that's your deck runs like very few bricks.
Yeah, it
So
was. So what actually happened was that I might have needed an extra attacker to finish him.
mhm,
So I played which this might have been a mistake. It
mhm,
was a mistake depending on how he attacked. I played a Nami
mhm,
and I missed. I didn't hit a 2K. I
mhm,
or I hit a 1K. I hit all events and choppers. So I was
mhm,
actually a dawn short to do what I wanted, and that's why I had a brick. Like I had a chopper, but I was a dawn short of doing what I wanted. So that
mhm.
was actually the brick in my hand. Because I was
Uh,
afraid that I wasn't gonna have enough attackers to kill him without the Nami. I was planning to swing for 7 with the Nami, and that's why I played it.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay,
Yeah,
so you played it a little differently, but regardless, good matchup, good win.
yeah,
You had
yeah,
time to text everybody, "Hey, I'm doing this. I'm starting to do some social media for you." I'm on your Twitter.
yeah.
By the way, you gained like at least 80 followers this weekend.
Hey, it was
So
yeah, man.
it's been big.
Doing we're consistent, right? Like Will to
Yeah,
Win Gaming, we don't preach like you win that one regional and then you're done. We preach consistency. And
yeah,
if anything, I'm a consistent player. I may
yeah.
not be the best player, but I'm consistent
Consistent
player.
one. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. With that, the next round you go into top 8. I don't think, yeah, you're not on live stream. I'm like begging for them to put you on live stream, by the way. But
Yeah. Not
top
on
8,
stream.
who did you face in top 8?
So my top 8 match, and this was interesting. So we all get together and I'm gonna play Fernando. I
Fern.
Fern, yeah. I don't
Mm,
know how to say his last name. I'm not even gonna try to butcher it. I think it's like I don't want to say it.
mm,
But he, really cool guy. I love this guy. One of the best law players in the world, of course, like insane.
mm.
And it's very interesting as he comes up to me. He's like, "You got it. I'm going to Six Flags." I'm like, "You're what?" He's like, "Yeah, you got it. I'm going to Six Flags. You owe me a match sometime." And I'm like, "Yeah, bro." I just give him the fist pound. And yeah,
Yeah, that's so wild. That group was like that. Like Orange Samurai, Garrett, they get the top cut and then they just want to go do other stuff after top cut.
yeah, because you get your Cyril Luffy, right? And
Yeah.
it's really unfortunate for him because he got number like 468, while a lot of the
Uh,
top 8 got really really low numbers,
mm,
including me. If you haven't heard, I'll just
yeah.
you
Double
can't
O seven.
007 number 7. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm super stoked about this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like just it's such a cool number to me because it's also
Yeah.
just a reverse of how many Luffy's there are. There's 700 Luffy's, 007,
Yeah.
700.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Honestly, yeah, I could have picked only 700. Number 700 would be better, So
Yeah,
actually,
I
that'd probably be pretty bad. I would want number 700 now that I think about it.
yeah I like number 7. I like having number 7.
Yeah, I think that's really lucky too. So
Yeah, I agree.
okay. And then top 4. You actually go not on actually this one was not on stream.
We're not
I
on stream. It's me versus
yeah.
Cross, and people are like, put them on stream, right? Like,
Yeah.
and the only reason they didn't, I think, is because the previous top 8 was Cross versus Chris Sock,
Mhm.
and they were on stream. It was
Mhm.
Whitebeard versus Law on stream. So
Mhm.
I think that's why they didn't put us on stream because they didn't want another Whitebeard Law. They want to see something
They
different,
wanted
which
to
was
see Law and Zoro. Is that a thing?
I think it was Blue Croc and Zoro.
Oh, was Croc top 4? Okay, great. Then yes.
Yeah,
Then they wanted to
I,
see that, I suppose.
I
Actually,
think it was Blue Croc and Zoro.
I don't think
Was
it
it?
was. I don't think it
I was
was.
I was it Law? Okay, well,
I
man, they just wanted Zoro, right?
It was Zoro X, and
Zoro.
yeah, it was. We were like begging for this. I remember like watching. People were tweeting like a picture of you both playing, and Cross looking. I don't know if he's looking stressed. I don't know what was happening at the time, but let's talk about the
Cross,
games.
Cross always looks stressed. He looks stressed when he's playing. Like that's just crazy.
He's just in pain.
Um, But the games are so Cross is a higher seed than me. He puts me going first.
Mm-hmm.
My opening hand game one is I see Firehawk and a who do you call it? A Marco. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this is great. This
The
is a great game on
juice.
hand. Yeah, I can kill his stuff. It's pretty back and forth. I use Firehawk to kill his starter deck Nami. That gives him the free Dawn, so the
Mm-hmm.
free attack. And I use Marco to just kind of generate some tempo, to slow him down a little bit. And it gets really interesting in the final turn because the turn before I had searched a Rush Luffy with a Nami, and this was he knew I had it, um, and so he didn't try to kill me, but he was poking my hand, right? Like he was just doing standard
Mm-hmm.
6K attacks, poking my hand. And so when he passed to me, he has one up. I know he has a Rad Beam and a Guard Point in his deck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's in his hand, but I'm like, I can't survive another turn. So I'm gonna try to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And my attacks are just I have a bunch of 6K guys, and that's what I do. I attack for 6, I attack for 6,
Mm-hmm.
and he's the first one he guards out for 7. The second one he takes a life, so
Mm-hmm.
he's down to 0.
Mm-hmm.
And then I attack for 6 again into his law blocker. That's his final blocker,
Mm-hmm.
and he blocks with it. So I sit there and I tank for a second. I'm like, all right, put 10 Dawn on my Nami, attack for 12. And he
Mm-hmm.
counters out for 12. And he's like, wait, how much is it? And I'm like, it's 12.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think had happened is he had calculated for the Rush Luffy, right?
Yeah.
It's 5 and then 5 for 11. He didn't account for me putting 10 Dawn on my Nami and
Yeah.
attacking for 12.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. So that happened the first game, right? That was game one.
Yeah, that happened
Okay.
the first game.
Game two?
Game two, it's very similar. It's honestly like pretty much the first game. He has two starter Namis. I kill a Firehawk and then a Marco. I have the same opener. But this game, we're in actually a very similar position. He had just poked me with 2 law blockers. So he had
Mm-hmm.
3 in play. He poked
Mm-hmm.
me with 2 and he had 1 back. And I do the same thing, except I'm poking for 7 now. I have a Rush Luffy. He doesn't know I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a 6 card hand. I remember this very vividly. I have a 6 card hand. It's Rush Luffy and 5 2Ks.
Mm-hmm.
So my actual goal of the turn is to kill all his blocker laws. So my pokes for 7 are actually to get cards out of his hand so I can attack his board.
Mm-hmm.
But I attack for 7, I attack for 7, and then he kind of blocks out of the attacks the cards in his hand, and he's on 0 life at this point, and he blocks the last 7 with his blocker law.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the tank again, and I'm just like, well, my attacks didn't go as planned. I couldn't get the first blocker law as quickly as I wanted, so I could clear his other 2. So now I just have to attack for 9 with my Rush Luffy. That's what I have, right? I have nothing else. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Rush Luffy attack for 9, and he's like, counter out 9. I'm like, I'm like, you're dead, right? And he's like, oh crap, I thought you could only swing for 8. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the end of the day. We've been playing all
Mm-hmm.
day. He's
I
playing
mean,
law with a hard deck. So I
mm-hmm.
think it's just like a little bit of a break, like a oopsie, right?
Yeah. I mean, he ran out of counter regardless, right? So even if he
Right
was
back.
sharp, he lost that, or
No, I actually think I think the way he calculated his turn
mm-hmm.
is I think he perfectly calculated that I can only attack for 8.
Mm-hmm.
I think he perfectly calculated in his head that I can only attack for 8, but I could actually counter attack for 9.
Mm-hmm.
If he had left one of the law blockers back instead of attacking with 2 of them, I was dead. But I think
Mm-hmm.
he calculated it perfectly for 8. Like it was incredible. It was actually a 9K attack,
Mm-hmm.
not an 8K attack. So I think that was the misstep. I think he calculated everything correctly except for that final attack, and it was for 9 instead of 8. I
Okay.
think that's what happened.
All right.
Because Cross is just like super sharp, right?
Yeah.
He did his calculations correctly. It just wasn't like correct the correct number. He calculated correctly, just not around the right number.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it was a loss by 1K. Really think
Yeah,
about
it's
it.
a loss by 1K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which has happened both games. Which, I mean, sometimes you gotta get good and play lucky and play good, and so that's when it's that close. Then
Yeah,
really,
I actually think he played perfectly both games. I just think he just miscalculated what I was gonna do. Right. I think it's just miscalculating on that part.
Yeah.
Cross is just so good. Like honestly, if
Mhm.
you played against him, like he's just so good.
Yeah. With that, the last final round, it is on stream against Anthony. And you've been here so long, you're ready to go to Bucky's, ready to go home. But tell
Absolutely.
tell me tell me about this finals match.
So I've obviously played against Zoro before. He's obviously played against Whitebeard before. I actually really enjoyed the finals match because this guy played so well. I got to do things that I normally wouldn't get to do in a
Mm-hmm.
match.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I saw he searched a Firehawk, so I actually had a turn where I had to put 4 Donna in my Tony to try to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Um, there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of give and take, and interestingly enough, just like the cross matches, both games 1 and 2 came down to 1K. Like
Mm-hmm.
I on game 1, I calculated his entire turn in my head. Uh, I didn't account for a Magra because I didn't think I could beat it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what he ended up having. So I was 1K short of surviving. And then game 2, it was the same thing. I made my attacks based on how much I thought I could beat in his hand, and he was 1K above that, right? Like 1K less out of his life, 1K less out of his hand, and he was dead,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was very close, and I can see like people on the outside. I can see like if I was watching my match from the outside, like there's a lot of weird plays going on, especially
Mm-hmm.
from my side, because a lot of people are like, "Well, why didn't you just go second?" And
Mm-hmm.
the real reason is the way I play this deck is different. Like I do not play my
Mm-hmm.
Strawbeard deck or Whitebeard in general the same as other people do. If I did, my results wouldn't be like they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like there's something I do that to me it's inherent to me and how I play is a little different to get the results I've been getting. And that
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of shows on camera, but it looks so weird to people who just aren't playing a lot of tournaments, right? People who are just used to watching tournaments instead of actually playing them.
Yeah.
Like Didi, for instance, plays an incredibly good defensive Whitebeard, which I think Didi would have won that finals match, but she might have lost against some of the earlier matches
Mm-hmm.
just because of the play style differences.
Okay.
I'm not saying one's right versus the other. I just think that once you find your groove and you're like really your play style with a deck, it doesn't have to be the same as another person's, but it can still win just the same.
Okay. I mean, I really do like that input, and yeah,
Yeah,
sweet. So,
I'll be honest. There's no one right way to play this deck.
mm-hmm.
Like you can play it completely different, and it might change up how good you are against certain matchups. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just something to like that's introspective, right? That's something you have to look at to see if that is what you are doing, especially if your results are not what you want them to be. You definitely need to look into that.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. And then, what are your overall thoughts? How has the tournament ran? Like, uh,
The tournament was good. The only thing that I'm not gonna say it's even a complaint. I feel like if people aren't reporting their matches, there should be. It's usually a serial offender. Like
mm-hmm.
if you're not reporting your matches, there should be some kind of penalty. Like
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't be, hey, come up to the stage. Hey, you're gonna get game
Yeah,
lost in
I
20
think a
minutes.
warning needs to be handed out early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there should be something because there's too many people that are like, and it's usually a certain side of the bracket, which I mean, sure, I know you care less if you start 0-4.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know you might care less about reporting a win, but the thing is, you're still affecting other people's tournament experience,
Mm-hmm.
and that's might be something you should think about.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense, and I think that's a really good feedback as far as anything. Have a warning, just to be stern, because it's like that with time. Why not be outside the game with time?
And
Right. So.
I just got a live text from my fiance Didi, who's in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted me to mention that she always goes second against Zoro,
Mm-hmm.
and that she is the smallest potato.
She's the smallest potato.
Yes,
IDD.
I got an angry emoji face for not saying that. So just to let you know.
All
Make
right.
sure I'm not in trouble.
Shout out to the smallest potato, the biggest potato. What a
The
potato.
the smallest serial Luffy
Mhm.
winner that we know about. So
There we go. I know there's a number 5 out there, by the way.
I mean, in terms of size.
Oh,
D.
that's what you meant. Okay,
Yeah,
I like that. I remember we did when she won hers. It was pretty big. Did you
yeah.
get that back yet? As far as the
It's
grading,
already sold, already out the door.
dude, already out the door. All right,
Yeah,
let's go.
it got knocked down on. It had bad centering, so it got knocked
Mm,
down on that. So I was like, so I made an offer, and I said, "Yep, it's yours."
okay,
I think it actually arrived at their house today. So.
say that's good. Um, After the tournament, you guys just went straight to Bucky's and then went back home, right? 12-hour
Uh,
trip.
Straight to Bucky's. We had actually planned to go to this place called the Seafood Shack.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they were going to be closed by the time they got there because
Mm-hmm.
we had eaten there on the way into Knoxville, and the
Mm-hmm.
food was great. Like it looked like a dump, but the
Mm-hmm.
food was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a $200 menu item, and we were like, whoever wins the Share Luffy gets to buy this on the way home, right? And I was like, yeah, ideal. Like, so I was ready to buy it. It came with like 5 like lobster tails and king crab leg, potatoes and corn, all this good stuff. But we didn't get there in time, so we went to a very disappointing Olive Garden
Mm-hmm.
and ate a disappointing dinner, and
Yeah.
then we went.
I think that's such a great thing. Go with a group of people. Whoever wins the cereal Luffy is buying us dinner. I think that's a great way to do it.
That should be a baseline. Like to me, that this is something that I've been doing with teams for like 20 years. Like this should be the baseline. If you have that guy who struck it rich, just show the love, right?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's so funny to like put that on dinner, but I think that's really good. So
You're gonna buy us dinner in Dallas, right?
yeah, for sure, dude. Buying dinner and dessert. We're gonna do that. I'm working on it. So in Dallas with that, is there any things that you're working on right now that we should be aware of things going on either with the patronage or just your YouTube channel?
So I am working on a deck that plays these, if you can see them. Yeah,
Oh,
I got these in the mail today. So if you're excited about this card,
spicy.
it is spicy. I'm a little busy this week because we are going to a 3v3 in Mexico this weekend. That's me, DD, and Impact. So we're going to be going to that, try to win more Serial Luffy's because that's what we do. This is our job. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. And we'll see next week. But yeah, we're really busy this week. So that's why we're banging out videos and guides today, right?
That's really big. Yeah. Okay. I think that's a really good thing that's going on. I guess the big thing to tell you guys right now, as far as our coaching goes on our patronage, we're not shutting it down, but we've paused. There's not going to be any more coaching slots for right now, just for at least this week or two, just while we get caught up on things for the sake of not just quality, but I mean, it is quality, right? Because we only have so many. I really, really implore you to be a tier 3, and then maybe from there you can maybe be a tier 4. But with the tier 3 patronage, we just have their videos like our Whitebeard guides, Rebecca, Blue Croc, and a lot more of our insight with that. And I appreciate everyone who's become a patron with that, and would definitely like to hear more feedback on your guys' end for that. Yeah, did you have any closing thoughts about this event or anything else you wanted to talk about since it's just your video?
I think the event was run pretty well. I had a lot of fun. All in all, I think it was great. I think it's a great trip for Will to Win Gaming. Anytime someone makes the top, it's good. Like, we're not some. I'm not a guy who went out and just like recruited a bunch of people across the globe or across the U.S. to make a super team. Like, we're all just living in proximity to each other. We like to play card games and have fun. So I'm proud of my team, and I'm interested to see where we go going forward. Like I think we're going to keep just adding these Serial Luffy's to our collection and just keep growing, like just getting better. That's the whole point. Like we just want to keep getting better.
Yeah. Are they starting to do Shankses in November, or is that still soon? Do you know?
I think Shanks should be in November.
Okay, dude.
Because I know there's like a few 3v3s are giving away Serial Luffy's, and I think that's it.
You got it.
Shanks
I guess, dude. I guess maybe I'll be the first Shanks. Let's go. Let's get him.
Taking pre-orders on Shanks right
Taking pre-orders on Shanks. All right, sweet. Hey, thank you everybody for watching this video. Make sure you follow Will's Twitter. That will be in the description. Please join our Discord. If you're not a patron, consider it. You can look at more in the Discord read more about that feedback. And I guess we'll see you all in the next Will to Win video.
One more thing. If you join tier 3, if a slot opens up, you can always upgrade to tier 4. So definitely check out our tier 3 because it's updated weekly. That's value. Value.
Week
All
value.
right.
Peace.
Peace.